There is more to knowing than the five senses you've been taught. Close your eyes now, just for a moment. Let the world outside soften and dim. Listen to the breath in your chest, the pulse beneath your fingers, the quiet hum of your body being alive. This is where your journey begins. Not in a distant jungle or deep ocean trench, but here, inside the skin you carry. You live within a shell of sensation. Your skin, stretched gently over your body, is not simply a boundary. It is a listening field, a silent net woven from nerves and pressure points, tuned to subtle changes. Warmth, texture, vibration, the brush of another's hand. Your skin knows things before your mind does. It whispers, this is soft, this is sharp, this is safe, this is not. And yet, for all its quiet miracles, your skin is just the beginning. In the animal world, the skin becomes something else entirely. Not just a messenger of touch, but a translator of the invisible, a gateway into realms of sensation far beyond your own. Let's begin with the catfish. It moves slowly through murky rivers, blind to light, surrounded by silence. But this fish does not need eyes. Its skin, every inch of it, is lined with taste buds. Thousands upon thousands, scattered like stars across its body. It tastes the water as it moves, tasting the world the way you might feel rain on your face. It does not simply find food. It follows flavor like a scent trail. Its skin is its tongue. You may find this strange, but in truth, your own skin is not so different. You too can taste with your lips, feel with your feet, respond to heat, pressure, electricity. The difference is only one of intensity and attention. Now feel the ground beneath you. Imagine you are a snake, long, silent, pressed close to the earth. You do not hear with ears in the way humans do. Instead, your belly reads vibrations. A mouse runs across dry grass 20 feet away. You feel it in your bones. Every footstep sends ripples through the soil, and your body, tuned to those ripples, maps the world like sonar. This is not magic. It is simply a deeper listening. Snakes are not alone in this. The golden mole, buried in the sands of southern Africa, is almost entirely blind. But when it rests its head on the ground, it can hear the world in low, deep tremors, insects moving underground, predators walking overhead. Its skull is a seismic instrument, more like a geological sensor than a head. And then there are the elephants. They do hear with ears, large and flapping and iconic, but they also listen through their feet. Their skin, especially around their soles and legs, is exquisitely sensitive to the low rumbles made by other elephants. These infrasonic messages, too deep for human ears, travel for miles through the ground. An elephant can sense them as subtle shifts beneath its skin. It feels the herd even when it cannot see it. It knows, not through vision, but vibration. Your own body holds echoes of this. The tiny bones of your inner ear respond to vibrations in the skull. The hairs on your arms rise when thunder rumbles. You too feel sound, even if you don't always know you do. Let's float. Now, into water again, but colder, clearer. The platypus is a puzzle of evolution, a creature stitched from many worlds. But what makes it most remarkable is invisible. Its bill, flat and soft, is covered with electroreceptor cells that detect the faintest electrical signals given off by the muscles of its prey. As it glides through the water with eyes and ears closed, it listens to electricity. Each twitch, each heartbeat in the mud becomes a signal. Its skin becomes sight. This is called electroreception, the sensing of electric fields through the skin. You do not have it, not like this, but many animals do. Sharks, rays, eels. They live in a world humming with current. Sharks, especially, are masters of this art. Their snouts are studded with tiny pores, called the ampulla of Lorenzini, a name that sounds like poetry and feels like magic. These pores are filled with a jelly-like substance that detects the tiniest changes in electric fields. A fish hiding under sand cannot stay hidden. Its heartbeat betrays it. The shark does not need to see. It feels, even bees, gentle, buzzing. Architects of the air can detect electric fields. As they hover near flowers, the fine hairs on their bodies respond to subtle charges in the petals. They know, without touching, which flowers have been visited and which still hold nectar. Their bodies listen to the garden in electric whispers. So, you see, touch is not always contact. It is pressure, it is current, it is field and force. It is a way of knowing that bypasses sight, skips sound, slips beneath thought. Even jellyfish, those drifting ghosts of the sea, sense the world through their skin. Nematocysts, tiny harpoons tucked inside their soft flesh, respond instantly to the chemical and mechanical cues around them. They do not choose to sting. Their skin does it for them. And in some ways so does yours. When you touch something too hot, you recoil before your brain can even decide. Reflex, instinct. Your skin reacts faster than your thoughts. You are not a mind in a body. You are a body that knows, and yet, in the rush of daily life, you often forget this. You forget that your skin is an organ of awareness, that it speaks, listens, and remembers. It holds the memory of every touch you've ever known, the softness of a parent's hand, the prick of a needle. The ache of cold wind. Skin is your boundary, but it is not your edge. It is the place where you meet the world. Now imagine, once more, that you are not human, that you are something else, a spider, perhaps. You rest on the fine strands of your web, eyes closed, still, but every footstep of an insect across the silk sends vibrations to your limbs. Your legs are tuned to tension. You can tell size, weight, and direction from the pattern of trembling alone. Your web is an extension of your body, and in a way, it is part of your skin. This is the wider truth. Skin, in the animal world, is not always flesh. Sometimes it is air. Sometimes it is water. Sometimes it is the ground beneath the feet. But always it is the first conversation, the first way the world is felt. You are surrounded, always, by invisible messages, by warmth, movement, pressure, charge. You are built to feel them. You just have to slow down enough to notice so. Tonight, as you lie still, feel the weight of the blanket on your body, the coolness of the air on your cheeks, the pulse in your fingertips. These are your whispers, your quiet invitations to awareness. Beneath the surface of your skin, something ancient is listening. And in the next chapter, you will discover how that listening goes deeper still into the compass in your blood, that senses not touch, but direction itself. You've never seen a magnetic field, but it moves through you, right now, silently, patiently, even as you rest, even as you breathe. The Earth's magnetic skin wraps around your body like an invisible cloak. This field is ancient. It flows from the molten iron heart of the planet, spiraling outward in broad, quiet waves. It protects you from radiation, guides compasses, and reaches beyond clouds and stars. A soft geometry wrapped around your every step. And though you cannot feel it, many animals do. Tonight, you follow one of them, A robin, tiny brightless, on the breeze. In autumn it lifts from northern woods and begins to fly, not randomly, not by trial and error, but on a precise path that stretches hundreds of miles. No map in its claws, no sun above on cloudy days, and yet it knows how there is a compass hidden in its body, not a needle or a dial, but something deeper, a kind of quiet organ of orientation, woven into flesh and blood. This is magnetoreception, a sixth sense, not imagination, not guesswork, a real biological perception of the Earth's magnetic field. Let's drift now, beside the robin. You float above forests as leaves turn red. The air is crisp and light. The bird tilts its wings, catches a thermal, and glides south, even in darkness. Even when the stars are covered, it knows which way to go. There is no hesitation, only direction. Scientists have spent decades asking how the answers are still unfolding, but part of the secret may lie in its eyes. The robin and many other birds can see the Earth's magnetic field, not as a visible color or line, but as a soft overlay, a shading or pattern that changes as the head turns. Deep in the bird's retina, molecules called cryptochromes respond to light and magnetism together. When photons strike these molecules, they enter a quantum state, tiny particles paired in a delicate dance, and their behavior is subtly influenced by magnetic forces. Imagine that a bird's sense of direction might arise not from instinct or memory, but from quantum mechanics, playing out in its very cells. You don't need to understand quantum entanglement to feel the wonder of that. It's like the robin is born with a piece of the planet inside its eyes. Not metaphorically, literally, but that's not the only place magnetoreception lives. Let's follow the sea turtle. She hatches on a beach under a sky full of stars. Her body is smaller than your hand, yet when she enters the ocean, she swims forward, not randomly, but along invisible lines. She is already following Earth's magnetic map. As she grows, matures, and travels thousands of miles through vast blue currents, she never forgets the pull of home. Years later, she returns to the same beach, the very same grains of sand, using nothing more than that ancient inner compass. No landmarks, no language, just the quiet geometry of magnetism and memory. Some fish do this too. Salmon, for instance, imprint on magnetic cues during their youth, and later in life, use the field to find their way back to freshwater streams. Their skin may detect changes in magnetic inclination, the angle at which the field meets the Earth's surface, a kind of invisible slope they follow. In lobsters, the magnetic sense may lie in tiny crystals of magnetite, iron-based minerals that form inside their heads. These crystals move slightly when exposed to magnetic fields, like microscopic compass needles, and trigger responses in nearby nerve cells. You may have magnetite in your own body, too, in your brain. Your sinuses, though whether it helps you sense direction remains a mystery. For some animals, the magnetic field is not just a tool, it's a landscape. Let's glide with a pigeon now, looping over city rooftops, trained to return from far away. Pigeons navigate home using magnetoreception even when the sun is hidden and the terrain is unfamiliar. When magnets are strapped to their backs in experiments, they lose their way. Their map has been scrambled, but when left unbothered, they always return. And there's more. Cows, deer, and even foxes tend to align their bodies along the Earth's magnetic field when grazing, resting, or hunting. Some scientists notice that when foxes leap onto prey hidden beneath snow, Their success improves when facing northeast, suggesting they may be using the magnetic field as a rangefinder, helping them judge depth and position. You begin to sense it now. The magnetic field is not an abstract idea. It's a living presence in the lives of animals. It guides wings and paws. It maps oceans and forests. It moves through bodies, not like a whisper, but like a memory. And yet you, sitting or lying now in your room, are mostly unaware of it. Your body might feel it faintly, subconsciously. Some studies suggest humans have magnetic particles in the brain or cells that respond to changes in fields. But unlike birds or turtles, you don't rely on this sense. You've covered it with machines. Compasses, maps, satellites. Still, part of you remembers. You felt it before, when you stood in a new place and somehow knew which way was home. When the air felt strange, like it was full of direction. When you pointed without knowing how, the compass may still live in your blood. It may be quiet, but not gone, and now, as you breathe slowly, you begin to wonder, what would it be like to feel the earth itself, not as ground beneath your feet, but as a shape that surrounds you, a presence that pulls you gently toward where you're meant to go. To some creatures, the planet is not passive. It's an active partner in navigation, a living map written in invisible ink. Imagine living like that. No GPS, no road signs, just the knowledge inside you, ancient and soft, that the world has a magnetic heartbeat, and your body listens to it. Birds do not fear getting lost. They are carried by instinct and field, guided by a sense humans once had, and perhaps still do. You watch the robin settle on a branch, miles into its migration. It rests, not because it's uncertain, but because it knows when to wait. The map is inside it, and tomorrow it will rise again and follow lines you cannot see. And as you lie here, wrapped in stillness, you start to feel those lines too, not through sight or touch, but through the idea that maybe your own inner compass hasn't stopped spinning. Maybe it's just been sleeping, and maybe the pull you sometimes feel to move, to change, to return, isn't restlessness. Maybe it's your magnetic sense, waking up because not all directions come from outside you, and in the quiet between one direction and the next, something even stranger begins, a way of sensing not position, but electricity, not the flow of field, but the very charge of life around you. Darkness is not always the absence of light. Sometimes it is simply the presence of another kind of seeing. Tonight, you slip below the surface of a river and open your eyes to a world where vision has nothing to do with light at all. The water around you is thick and brown, clouded by silt and leaf. If you were here as yourself, you would see almost nothing. But you are not yourself tonight. You are something else, something with no need for eyes. You are an electric fish. Tiny pulses radiate from your skin like ripples on a pond. They spread outward, invisible and gentle, touching stones, driftwood, and other creatures. And as they bounce back, your body reads the delay, the resistance, the distortion. This is not light. This is electricity. In this liquid world, you feel your surroundings by generating an electric field and sensing how it changes. You do not see the outlines of things. You sense their presence, their texture, their aliveness. This is electrolocation, a biological sonar, not built from sound, but from charge. You are a knifefish, perhaps, gliding in the rivers of South America, or a black ghost knifefish, named for its strange elegance. Your tail shimmers slightly as you generate an electric filled with an organ near your spine. It's weak, not strong enough to shock, but perfect for sensing. You use it like a blind person uses a cane, tapping space with invisible energy. Other electric fish do the same, and they've evolved electric sense independently again and again. In Africa, the elephantose fish sends out its own current and reads the world like braille on the water. Its brain is so focused on interpreting electrical information that nearly 60% of it is dedicated to processing electric signals. More than the human brain gives to sight. It sees with its skin, but how does it work? You send out a steady rhythm of weak electrical pulses, like a heartbeat or a metronome. As these pulses move through water, they meet resistance. When they encounter a rock, they bounce off cleanly. When they encounter something alive, a shrimp, another fish, they are absorbed, distorted, delayed. Your body detects these subtle shifts using specialized receptors embedded in your skin. These receptors are tuned to the tiniest electrical changes, far below anything your human body could notice. They are so sensitive that they can detect a movement as small as a millimeter or a muscle twitch in a nearby animal. You can tell where things are, how big they are, what they are made of, all without ever seeing them. To live in murky water is to let go of light. So evolution gave you something else. But not all electric fish are gentle. Some, like the electric eel, use their charge not to see, but to hunt. With a sudden burst, the eel sends out a high-voltage pulse that stuns its prey. This is called electrogenesis, the generation of electricity for attack or defense. Electric rays do this too, storing charge in special organs like living batteries. They have evolved from muscle cells that no longer contract. Instead, they fire like a string of coins flipped in perfect rhythm. Even here, vision is a form of power, but it is not violent by nature. Most electric fish don't want to harm. They just want to understand. Imagine if you could see the world this way. Imagine walking through your house at night, not with a flashlight, but by sending out a gentle electric field and feeling the shapes of the walls as the energy returns. Imagine sensing the flicker of a cat behind the sofa, not by sound or shadow, but by the way its body disturbs the quiet current you always carry. In truth, your body has traces of this sense, too. Your heart and brain generate small electrical fields. Your nerves carry signals through tiny pulses of voltage. Hospitals use machines to measure these fields. An ECG for your heart, an EEG for your brain. You are not blind to electricity. You are made of it, but you cannot feel it like the electric fish can. Your skin doesn't register the shimmer of a voltage change. You do not know when something living passes behind you, not unless it makes a sound. Still, you have moments. You've walked into a room and felt the air shift. You've turned your head and known, without knowing why, that someone was near. Maybe it was body heat. Maybe it was sound. Maybe, just maybe, your skin still remembers what it's like to feel more than touch. There are other creatures who live by electricity. Sharks, for instance. Their skin is lined with ampulla of Lorenzini, tiny jelly-filled pores that detect the weak electric signals given off by the muscles of fish. A heartbeat, a twitch, a life hiding beneath sand. To a shark, the ocean is alive with sparks. They do not need to see. They feel. And that feeling guides their strike. Bees, too, have electric senses. As they fly through a garden, their wings generate static charge. Flowers, in turn, hold their own electric patterns. A bee can tell if a flower has been visited simply by sensing the change in its electrical field. It does not touch. It listens, with hairs, with charge, with grace. You are surrounded by an electric world, even if you don't live within it. Right now, your room is filled with fields, Wi-Fi, cell, signals, the gentle hum of power lines. None of these are felt directly, but your body, ancient and electric, knows them in other ways. And nature's electricity is older than ours. It moves in rhythms, in pulses, in patterns that come not from machines, but from life. In the darkness of the river, the electric fish slows. It no longer needs to pulse. There is nothing nearby. Only water, only peace. It drifts, trusting the current. You drift to dot. You are no longer in a room. You are floating in a current of sensation. The charge that holds atoms together, the energy that flows in every living cell. It surrounds you, it is you, and slowly you begin to wonder if fish can see with electricity, and sharks can hunt with charge. What other senses exist that you have never named? Because just beyond the current lies something else. A world where sound is felt more than heard, where elephants listen through their feet, where moths feel the beat of a predator's wings through the air alone. And as the current fades into stillness, a new question rises quietly in your mind. Can you learn to hear without ears? Sound is more than noise. It is movement. It is vibration passing through matter, through air, through water, through earth, and sometimes through you. You often think of hearing as something that happens in your ears, tiny hairs in the inner canal moving in response to waves of air. But your body, even without ears, is a deep and ancient listener. Tonight, let's lie down on the earth. Really lie down. Press your chest, your cheek, your fingertips to the ground. Now, imagine the world not as sound, but as tremor. This is how an elephant listens in the open plains of Africa. A female elephant places her foot gently against the soil. Far away, kilometers away, another herd lets out a low, thunder-like rumble, too deep for your ears to hear. But the vibrations travel through the ground, and the elephant feels them, not through her head, but through her feet. The soft pads under her feet contain special receptors, and her leg bones carry these seismic signals all the way up to her middle ear. It is not just hearing, it is feeling. As hearing, the earth becomes a messenger. You begin to realize hearing isn't bound to ears. It's a sense of vibration, and vibration can be read by the skin, the bone, the breath. Now let's move smaller, to something eight-legged. A spider waits at the center of her web, eyes closed, still as windless thread, but her legs are alert, each tipped with delicate hairs that feel the tension in the silk. When a fly lands on the outer strand, it sends a tiny shiver down the structure. The spider knows exactly where and how big and what kind. She does not see. She does not hear. But her body listens. The web is her ear. This kind of listening is called mechanoreception, the ability to sense pressure and vibration through touch-sensitive structures. It's not limited to spiders, crickets, moths, frogs, fish, and even humans. All feel vibration as part of how they understand the world. Take the mole, living underground. Eyes are mostly useless. Ears are buried. But the body, it's tuned to the subtlest changes in the earth. A worm moving below, the collapse of a tunnel, the faintest shuffle from the surface. All of it is heard through the skin. And humans, you feel more than you know. When you stand near a speaker, you don't just hear music, You feel it in your ribs. The bass hums in your bones. That's not metaphor. It's physical vibration entering your body. Babies, still in the womb, respond to rhythm and deep tones. Not because they hear them the way you do, but because their small forming bodies feel the movement of sound, waves through fluid and flesh. There are even stories of deaf dancers who feel rhythm through their feet, sensing the beat through the ground. Your body is always listening, not just through ears, but through every surface. Let's go back now to the wild dot, the kangaroo rat. Living in arid deserts, is hunted by snakes. But it survives, in part, by its ability to feel danger. The vibrations of an approaching predator travel through the ground. The rat's feet pick them up. It leaps into the air before the snake ever strikes. No sound, no sight, just vibration, just survival. Now drift toward the ocean. The seahorse, floating gently near coral, feels waves through its bony plates. Fish have lateral lines, rows of sensitive cells that detect the movement and pressure of surrounding. Water, even in pitch dark, they sense other creatures moving nearby. The water is not just habitat, it's communication. Everything vibrates, and everything that vibrates sends information. A tree in the wind, the flutter of wings, the heartbeat of a friend. Even ants communicate with vibrations. Tapping their abdomens on the ground, they send signals to others buried below. Each tap is like a word, each pause a breath. You begin to wonder, what kind of silent conversations pass you by every day? When rain hits the roof, your body responds. When thunder rolls, your chest tightens. Even before you think, you are already hearing. Let's return to the elephant. One more time, scientists placed sensors in the ground to record elephant rumbles. The results, vibrations traveled as far as 20 kilometers, and elephants responded accordingly. Mothers gathered calves, herds changed course, all without any sound loud enough for human ears. These rumbles are infrasound below the human threshold of hearing, but not below the body's threshold of feeling. You feel infrasound too, sometimes. In the presence of waterfalls, thunder, large engines, it hums in your chest, not in your ears. Your bones are better listeners than you think. Now feel your own heartbeat, that tiny thump beneath your ribs. It creates waves through your blood and soft pulses through your skin. Your body listens to itself, moment by moment, beat by beat. So hearing with the body is not foreign. It's ancient and still alive inside you. And maybe when you say someone's presence is palpable, or that you had a gut feeling, you're remembering a kind of hearing you haven't named, a kind that belongs not just to ears, but to everything that can tremble gently and know something is near. Spiders, elephants, crickets, moles. You, all part of the same quiet orchestra, each tuned to vibration, each a listener in a world that never truly goes silent. And in this stillness, one question begins to surface. If animals can feel sound, could some of them also see it? Could vibration ever become color? Could the silent world become visible? You've always thought of sound as invisible. But what if your mind could turn it into shape, into light, into image, into something you could see? Tonight, you drift through a world where animals do exactly that. You begin high above a moonlit field, where a barn owl hovers in perfect stillness. Its wings do not flap, its eyes do not blink, but its head tilts, just slightly, below, hidden. In the tall grass, a mouse breathes. It makes almost no sound, just the tiniest rustle, softer than a whisper. But the owl hears it. More than that, it sees it, not with eyes, with ears. The barn owl's hearing is so precise, it can map the location of prey in complete darkness using sound alone. It creates a mental image from the smallest noises, a shape drawn in silence. The owl's ears are not symmetrical. One sits higher than the other, so sound reaches each ear at a slightly different time. From this, the owl calculates height, left and right, distance, direction. It turns sound into space. A mouse becomes a shape. A sound becomes a shadow that moves, and then a silent glide, a strike, an end. This is more than hearing. It is echolocation in reverse. A kind of auditory vision. Now drift further into the sky. Here comes the bat, wings slicing air, body pulsing with clicks, cries you cannot hear, but which bounce off the world around it. Each click flies outward like a question. Each echo returns with an answer. Through this, the bat builds an image of the night. Trees, insects, leaves, water, all appear to it in layers of reflected sound. What is too dark to see becomes clear through vibration. To the bat, sound is shape, sound is motion, sound is light. This is echolocation, the ability to see through reflected sound waves. And bats are not alone. Dolphins use echolocation underwater, emitting pulses that bounce off coral, fish, even distant boats. Some dolphins can tell the difference between a metal sphere and a plastic one just by listening to how their clicks return. Some researchers believe dolphins might even create mental images from sound, like acoustic photographs in the mind. And here's the astonishing part. Blind humans can do it. 2. Some people who are blind from birth develop a skill called human echolocation. By clicking their tongues or tapping canes, they learn to interpret the echoes, identifying doorways, hallways, trees, parked cars. Their brains rewire to process sound spatially, and many report that they don't hear the echo, they see it. The brain doesn't mind switching senses. If it needs to, it adapts. Sound becomes sight. Touch becomes hearing. Smell becomes memory. This blending of senses is called neuroplasticity, and in the animal world, it happens all the time. Consider the star-nosed mold. It is almost blind, but on its face is a star-shaped structure, 22 fleshy tentacles, each packed with sensitive receptors. It uses them like eyes, touching its surroundings at lightning speed. Each touch sends a signal to the brain, which maps out the world in astonishing detail. So detailed, in fact, that neuroscientists believe the mole sees with touch. Its brain devotes more processing power to this nose than humans give to their hands or eyes. So what is vision, really? Is it light, or is it information? If the brain can create a world from touch, from sound, from rhythm, then maybe the senses are more fluid than you've imagined. Let's float to a deeper sea. Here swims the toadfish, a creature that sings. Its call, used to attract mates, is a low, vibrating hum that fills the water like a foghorn. And the females, they see that song not with their eyes, but with a part of their brain that responds to both sound and movement. The call creates patterns of vibration in the water, and the fish respond as if seeing those ripples unfold. The same may be true of frogs, which sometimes detect sound through their skin, feeling the croaks of others in their throats, bellies, or even lungs. They feel the call like a light pressing gently against them, even snakes. With no external ears, sense vibration through their jaws. When an animal moves, the tremor travels up the bone to a tiny internal structure near the skull. To them, vibration is sound, and sound becomes direction, and direction becomes survival. Your own brain contains this magic to dot in rare cases of synesthesia. People literally see sound as color. A piano note glows yellow. A dog bark flashes blue. For them, sound triggers a visual response. The senses cross like wires in soft lightning. Scientists believe we're all born this way, with senses overlapping more than we know, but over time, the brain separates them for clarity. Still, the traces remain. Music moves you not just in hearing, but in feeling. You say, this song feels bright, or that sound is sharp. Not because you confuse the senses, but because somewhere deep inside, they still speak to each other. So maybe you've seen sound too, in the way thunder feels like a flash, or how a familiar voice lights up your mind like sunlight. And perhaps, the deepest vision comes not from the eyes, but from the unity of all your senses. From the way your body reads the world in vibrations, in temperature, in rhythm and space. You are an instrument. Your skin, your bones, your ears, your eyes, they form a symphony of perception, and just as bats see through echoes and fish through pulses and moles through touch, you too are capable of sensing more than sight. And if sound can become vision, what else can cross the bridge between worlds? Because now, as your breath slows and your thoughts begin to quiet, a new question emerges, soft as mist. If animals can see sound, can they also smell time? Time is a river, you've heard, but for some, time is more like a scent on the wind, not seen, not touched, only felt as it fades. You live in a world of clocks, numbers that tick, screens that glow, schedules wrapped around your hours. But for animals, time is not mechanical. It lives in the softness of change. And nowhere is that change more richly felt than in scent. Let's begin in the snow. A wolf moves through the forest, sniffing the air, then the ground. Nostrils wide, head low, reading the invisible script left by others. A scent trail crosses her path, not just a message, but a timeline. The molecules tell her more than someone was here. They tell her when fresh scent is strong, volatile, bright. It clings to the top layer of snow, sharp and full of identity. But as hours pass, the chemistry changes. Molecules break down, evaporate, sink into the cold. What was clear becomes faint, what was new becomes old, and she knows, not by memory, not by clocks, but by the decay of smell in this way. Wolves and many other animals smell time. Let's move to a different creature now, one closer to home, the dog. You've seen one stop to sniff a tree, a sidewalk, a shoe. It isn't just curiosity, it's time travel. A dog's nose can distinguish between scent molecules deposited moments ago and those left hours, even days earlier. Each whiff is a time storm, a signature layered in age. They smell what happened. They smell when it happened. They might even smell how long ago you left the room, or whether another dog passed by this morning or yesterday. Their noses contain up to 300 million olfactory receptors compared to your mere 6 million. Their brains devote 40 times more space to smell than yours. To them, scent is story, and that story flows with time. Now, picture a search and rescue dog, tracking a missing person through woods or rubble. They don't just follow a trail, they reconstruct a timeline. They ignore older scent trails and lock on to the freshest ones, moving forward in time, nose dash first dot to them. Every trail is layered, morning scent, midday scent, evening scent. They choose the most recent path by comparing gradients of odor. This isn't magic, it's chemical time perception. Even ants, tiny and overlooked, follow scent trails that decay. A forager ant leaves a pheromone as she walks. Others follow, but only if the scent is strong. As it fades, the trail becomes less convincing, a weaker signal, a ghost of what once was. In this way, the colony knows which path is fresh. The strongest scent wins. Time becomes strategy. And what about the bloodhound? Its nose is so sensitive, it can follow a trail more than a week old. It can trace a path through city streets, across rivers, over concrete and gravel. And it does this by reading layers of scent, skin cells, sweat, bacteria, each with its own timeline. Some researchers believe dogs may even sense the direction of time by detecting the gradient of fading scent, smelling the past behind them and the future ahead. What a strange idea to smell where someone was and where they're likely going. Let's go deeper. Some animals smell not just others, but the internal time of their own body. Moths, for instance, have antennae so sensitive they can smell a mate from kilometers away, but they only respond at the right time of day. Their scent sensitivity rises and falls with circadian rhythm, the body's natural clock. Honeybees remember what time flowers bloom and visit them accordingly. They learn when scent is strongest, when pollen is ready, and adjust their behavior like little timekeepers. They don't read a clock, they smell the season, the hour, the moment. Time is coded in flowers, in hormones, in the wind. Even reptiles, like snakes, use tongues to read the past. When a lizard scurries by, the snake flicks its tongue into the dust, bringing molecules into a special organ in its mouth. And with that, it knows where the lizard went, how long ago, whether it's worth the chase. And what about you? You may not track prey through scent, but your body still smells time in subtle ways. You've walked into a room and known someone was just here, not because you saw them, but because their scent hadn't settled. Their perfume was still fresh, their warmth lingered in the air. You've opened an old book and smelled age. You've caught the scent of rain before it fell petrichor, the smell of earth waiting for water. Even memory is tied to scent. A smell can pull you into the past faster than any photograph. The perfume of someone you loved, the spice of a childhood kitchen, the shampoo from a summer long gone. It happens because your brain's smell center, the olfactory bulb, sits close to the amygdala and hippocampus, where emotion and memory live. You don't just smell the world, you feel it, you remember it, you time travel with your nose. So maybe, deep in your cells, time has always been something to be sensed, not counted, not scheduled, but smelled. Maybe the body knows how to tell time without ever seeing a clock, just by reading how things fade, just by sensing change. And now, as your breath grows slower, you start to wonder if time can be smelled. What about taste? What if flavor, too, reveals more than pleasure? What if your tongue knows something about the inner world of things? What if taste is its own kind of truth? Close your eyes. Imagine something sweet resting on your tongue, maybe a slice of fruit warm from the sun. Before you even chew, your mouth floods with meaning, pleasure, memory. Safety. Taste seems so simple, a moment of delight, a reward. But tonight, you'll feel how taste is far more than flavor. It is one of your oldest guides, a sense that helps you navigate the invisible world within and around you. Let's begin with a drop of water, fresh from a leaf. You taste it and know it is clean, safe, familiar. Now imagine a berry. Its surface is bitter. Your lips recoil. Your tongue whispers, "No, this is not preference. This is evolution." Taste evolved, not for enjoyment, but for survival. Bitterness often signals poison. Sweetness means energy. Salt reveals minerals. Sour tells of ripeness or rot. Umami, the deep, savory note, whispers of protein growth. Repair. Your body listens, even when you don't. And this listening is ancient. Even bacteria, the simplest life forms, have tastes like systems. They detect chemical gradients, moving toward sugar, away from toxins. This is the first whisper of desire, the earliest yes or no. Now let's visit a butterfly. When she lands on a leaf, she doesn't use her mouth to taste. She uses her feet, tiny. Sensors in her legs detect the plant's chemistry. Is it the right species for her eggs? Will her caterpillars survive on it? She knows before she lays them, not by vision, not by instinct, but by tasting with her toes. Imagine a world where your feet could taste the ground, where your hands could tell which apple is sweet before lifting it. Some animals already live this way. Catfish have taste buds across their entire bodies. They glide through water, tasting the current, their skin alive with flavor. A catfish doesn't need to bite. It simply swims and knows what is edible, what is dangerous, what is near. Flies taste with hairs on their legs and mouths. Octopuses taste with their suckers. Each arm is a tongue, each touch a question, and every taste is more than sensation. It's a decision. Let's come back to you, inside your mouth. Thousands of taste buds sit quietly in small bumps on your tongue. Each bud contains 50 to 150 receptor cells, each tuned to different molecules. They don't just detect, they evaluate. They send signals to the brain, not just about what is being tasted, but about what to do next. Should you swallow? Should you spit it out? Should your stomach prepare to digest? Taste starts the conversation between mouth and gut. It is not a passive sense. It is a command, and it's not limited to your tongue. Your intestines taste, too. Inside your digestive tract, cells detect sugars, salts, and amino acids. They adjust hormone levels, insulin release, even mood and hunger signals. The gut is sometimes called your second brain, and it listens through chemistry. Taste lives in your brain, but also in your blood, in your walls, in your cells. Even your immune system uses taste-like receptors to detect pathogens, to decide when to attack, to recognize the difference between self and other. Your body is constantly tasting the world within. It is fluent in flavor, fluent in risk. Let's drift now to a different kind of creature, one with an exquisite tongue. The snake. A snake flicks its forked tongue into the air, then draws it back into a special organ in the roof of its mouth. It does not just smell the air, it tastes it. The particles it collects give information, what animals have passed nearby, whether prey is close, whether a mate is waiting. Each flick is like a sentence in a language of molecules. Now picture a hummingbird. Its beak dives into a flower. Inside, it tastes sugar, and its brain lights up with recognition. Not just energy, not just sweetness, but the timing of the flower, the readiness of the nectar. Taste becomes a clock, a map, a memory, because animals do not just taste for now. They remember flavor, Rats, after tasting poisoned bait once, will never return. They remember the bitterness, associate it with pain, tell others. Even wasps and bees communicate which flowers are worth returning to through dances, through scent, through shared traces of taste. Taste becomes story for whales. Taste may help identify the salinity of seawater, helping them navigate vast oceans. For deer, it helps detect toxic plants in the undergrowth. For koalas, it allows them to choose specific eucalyptus leaves that balance nutrition and poison, even among humans. Taste varies, not just by preference, but by biology. Some people are super tasters, with more taste buds than others. To them, bitterness is overwhelming. Spice is sharper. Greens are more intense. Your taste is your fingerprint, shaped by genes, by experience, by culture, by survival. And just like smell, taste connects to memory. You've tasted something that pulled you into childhood, a tea your grandmother made, a fruit from a street stall, a dish from a home long gone. That taste lives somewhere beneath language. It moves through the amygdala, stirs the hippocampus, and blooms as emotion. Taste is not shallow, it is deep, and maybe that's why fasting, choosing not to taste, has always been spiritual. To pause flavor is to pause time, to awaken the mind, to feel the body's inner dialogue. And so, with every taste, you are decoding your world. What is safe? What is nourishing? What is beautiful? You are not just enjoying, you are learning. Each flavor tells a story of chemical bonds, of evolutionary paths, of ancient instincts still alive in your mouth. Now your breath grows slower, your body quieter. You've tasted sweetness and salt, sour and bitter and savory. But what about the strange flavors? The ones that don't fit? The metallic taste of fear, the dryness of adrenaline, the tang of emotion. Could feelings have flavor? Could taste reveal something more than food? Could it show us who we are becoming? You don't just taste food, you taste moments, moods, memories, the bitter mouth before bad news, the dryness of heartbreak, the salt behind tears. These are not metaphors, they are real. Your tongue, your mouth, your throat, all part of the conversation between emotion and body. Tonight, you explore that quiet language where emotions take on taste, and taste reflects the truth within. Let's begin with fear. A predator enters the clearing. The rabbit, frozen, doesn't just hear it. She tastes it in her mouth, a sharp metallic flavor, the byproduct of stress chemicals flooding her body. Adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine. They shift the blood's chemistry, change saliva's pH, trigger a dry, cold bitterness at the back of the tongue. You felt this too. Before an exam, before a fight, before a loss, the taste of metal, like coins on your tongue, like a warning. It's not imagined. It's biology. The stress response redirects blood flow, alters the nerves in your mouth, and changes how your taste buds fire in this moment. Taste becomes a signal, not about the outside world, but the inside one. Fear tastes real. Now drift. To grief, it doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it enters as a dullness, a mouth that cannot feel sweetness. Food becomes flat. Water becomes strange. The world of flavor fades. Scientists call this hypogeusia, a reduced ability to taste, but it's more than that. It's the body's quiet mourning. Loss dulls the senses, and the mouth, once filled with stories, goes silent. Even the tongue needs time to grieve. Now float forward to joy. the rush of sweetness when you laugh too hard, the sudden craving for something rich, something warm, the body preparing to reward, to celebrate. Emotion triggers taste, and taste reflects emotion. Endorphins released during joy make sugar taste sweeter. Even a simple meal shared with a loved one feels more delicious, because flavor doesn't live only in food. It lives in context. The same chocolate eaten in solitude tastes different than when shared. The same tea sipped during a storm feels different than on a sunlit porch. Your mouth knows. It remembers. It adjusts. Even love has a flavor. Think of the early days when you barely eat, yet feel full. Your appetite changes. Your cravings shift. It's not fantasy, it's oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin altering your perception of taste. Some lovers report feeling sweetness in the mouth, even when nothing is there. A taste like memory, like longing, like the body responding to presence. Now, turn toward shame. It's a dry throat, a thick swallow, a sourness that rises, because emotions travel through your nervous system. They reach your salivary glands, your throat muscles, your gut lining. You are one body. An emotion is never just mental. Even anger changes taste. It sharpens, intensifies. Spicy foods burn more. Bitter things become unbearable. Your body is not calm. And so, flavor becomes amplified. Sometimes unpleasant, sometimes too much. And then there is peace, a still moment. No rush, no craving. Just a soft, natural clarity. Even water feels right. Bread tastes whole. There is no need for spice, for sugar, for distraction. The body is in harmony, and taste becomes gentle, like a whisper. Animals know this, too. A dog in stress won't eat. A horse in fear refuses grain. A bird in mourning picks less at seed. Their emotions reshaped taste, just like yours. Let's move now to the gut, where emotion and tastes meet in deeper places. The gut-brain axis is a direct link between your digestive system and your brain. It's lined with neurons, chemicals, receptors that sense both what you eat and how you feel. When you're sad, digestion slows. When you're anxious, the stomach churns. When you're safe, the gut opens, ready to receive. Taste is only the beginning. The body listens after the bite too. Even your microbiome, the trillions of bacteria inside your intestines, may influence taste, preference, and in turn, emotion. Some scientists believe that gut bacteria can influence cravings, mood, even depression. Your emotions are not just in your brain, they're in your belly, in your mouth, in the taste of what you choose and what you refuse. And so, flavor becomes reflection. Do you crave sweetness when lonely? Do you avoid bitterness when afraid? The body speaks if you learn to listen. Let's drift now into the world of ritual. Across cultures, taste is part of emotional ceremony. In funerals, food is often bland. In weddings, sweet. In fasts, absence itself becomes meaningful. Taste is a way to feel together, to carry memory, to share silence, to soften joy or loss. And in spiritual traditions, certain flavors are sacred. Dates at sundown, wine on holy days, herbs passed down by generations, because flavor can carry more than nutrition, it carries presence. You've tasted it, the first bite after fasting, the meal after heartbreak, the food made with love. They all taste deeper, richer, emotional, and now as your breath slows and your thoughts dim like distant lanterns, you realize your tongue is not just a tool, it is a storyteller, a memory keeper, a mood mirror. You don't just taste what's on your plate, you taste what's in your heart. And in that gentle awareness, a new question rises like steam. If taste and feeling are linked, could animals feel empathy through flavor? Could they taste not just food, but each other? Imagine entering a room just after someone has cried. The air is still. No tears remain, no sound. And yet, you feel it. The weight of sadness lingers. You cannot explain why, but something in the room tells you, grief was here. This is not magic. It is chemical empathy. Tonight, you drift into a world where bodies speak without voices, where feelings are shared not in language, but in molecules. Let's begin with fear. In a lab, scientists collect sweat from people watching horror films. They place this sweat under the noses of volunteers. What happens? Even without knowing why, the volunteers' faces change. Their eyes widen, their bodies stiffen. Their amygdala, the brain's fear center, lights up. They feel afraid, not because of what they see, but because of what they smell. This is chemosignaling, the transmission of emotion through scent, and it is not just human in the wild. A mouse smells the fear of another mouse and freezes. A bee detects panic in its hive and prepares to defend. A fish, when injured, releases a chemical alarm, sending others fleeing before the predator even strikes. This is emotional communication. At the molecular level, it is ancient, it is fast, it is silent. Now float to a dog park. Two dogs approach. They sniff each other, tails wagging or still bodies, open or tense, but this is more than social curiosity. They're reading chemical stories. Inside a dog's nose are receptors that detect pheromones, invisible chemicals released in sweat, saliva, and skin. These pheromones carry information. I'm friendly, I'm frightened, I'm hurt, I'm ready. Dogs smell each other's moods, even illnesses. Even stress. Some dogs can detect seizures before they happen. Others can sense blood sugar crashes in diabetics. They are not trained to hear or see the signs. They smell them. They smell the body's quiet alarm bells, and then they act. This is chemical empathy, responding to what the body of another is saying, even when they cannot speak it. Humans have this sense, too. Mothers can identify their baby's unique scent within hours of birth. Babies calm down when exposed to their mother's odor, not just her presence, but her molecular signature. In moments of love, touch releases oxytocin, a hormone that strengthens trust and emotional bond. That hormone has a scent. It leaves a trail, and others respond to it, even unconsciously. Now drift to the forest, where deer move in herds, communicating with the wind. One deer catches the scent of a predator. Her body changes. She releases stress hormones in sweat and breath. The deer beside her smells it, not just the predator, but her reaction to it. They all run, not because they all saw danger, but because they shared its signal. Emotion passes, like a torch handed from body to body. Let's move underwater in the sea. Octopuses release clouds of ink when afraid. But it's not just camouflage. It contains chemical cues that warn others. I am afraid. You should be too. Even coral can chemically signal stress, releasing compounds that alert neighboring colonies to environmental danger. Insects do it. Two ants release pheromones when attacked, turning their colony from calm to chaos in seconds. 1. signal shared, one feeling multiplied. Your own body does this every day. When you're nervous, you sweat differently. Your body releases more aprin secretions, rich in proteins that bacteria break down into sharp-smelling molecules. Others may not notice it consciously, but their bodies respond. They lean back, they hold still, they feel something change, even without words. Your body communicates. Now think of laughter. It spreads quickly, even between strangers. Laughter triggers the release of endorphins, which are shared through touch, eye contact, sound. You smile, I smile. Your joy becomes mine. This is a kind of emotional contagion, not always through scent, but through body, rhythm, vocal tone, chemical shifts. Your brain has mirror neurons, which fire when you observe someone else's emotion. Your heart may slow when they calm. Your throat may tighten when they cry. You are built to feel what others feel. But the body doesn't stop at mirroring. It responds. Horses, when around anxious humans, show increased heart rates. Even their cortisol levels rise. They do not understand the problem. They do not see the thought. But they feel it. In response, some horses nuzzle. Others breathe slower, as if trying to calm the person beside them. This is not instinct. It is compassion shaped by chemistry. Some believe elephants grieve this way. They approach bones of fallen companions, touch them gently with trunks. Release low-frequency rumbles, vocal signals filled with sadness. Other elephants gather, not to mourn by reason, but by resonance. They feel what is being felt, and maybe you do, too. You've sat next to someone in silence and known their sorrow. You felt warmth from someone's presence, even before they spoke. This isn't imagination. It's biology, it's chemical, it's connection. So what is empathy? Is it an emotion, a moral act, a choice? Or is it something deeper, woven into flesh, breath, and scent? Maybe you were born to feel others, to respond, to understand through your skin what their skin is saying. And maybe, in a time before language, this was the only way we knew each other, through shared signals of fear, peace, hunger, care. You still carry that in your glands, in your lungs, in the trail of molecules you leave behind, and maybe in the way your body knows when to reach out, when to comfort, when to stay close without needing to ask why. Chemical empathy lives in every creature, in breath, in sweat, in scent. It is how you were made, to know without knowing, to feel without speaking. And now, as sleep begins to wrap gently around your limbs, you wonder if bodies can sense emotion this way, if we truly share each other's feelings. Could animals listen to human pain through this silent bond? And, if so, what might they do with that understanding? You've had a moment like this, a day of sorrow, a quiet room, no one else around, and then the soft pressure of a paw, the warmth of fur against your side, a gentle gaze holding yours. No words spoken, no explanation given, but something in you shifts because someone heard you, even if they had no language, even if they were not human. Tonight you explore this mystery, how animals, without vocabulary, seem to know when you are not okay, how they hear your pain. Let's begin with the dog, not just man's best friend, but perhaps man's emotional. Mirror studies show that dogs can detect subtle changes in human facial expression, posture, tone, and even scent. They notice when your voice trembles, when your shoulders fall, when your steps grow heavy, and they respond, not randomly, but with care. A dog may press closer to a crying person more often than to someone singing or laughing. Some will lick your face, others simply sit beside you. They don't solve the problem, but they offer presence. They stay, and sometimes that is enough. Let's go deeper. Dogs can detect cortisol, the hormone your body releases when stressed. It travels in sweat, breath, even your skin oils. A trained dog can sniff a panic attack before it happens. Some service dogs interrupt self-harm behaviors before the person is even aware. They don't do this by logic. They do it by sensing, smelling, reading, responding. Empathy not as an idea, but as instinct. Now picture a cat, independent, mysterious, and yet deeply tuned in. Cats may not rush to comfort with wagging tails, but they observe. They notice when you stay in bed too long, when your patterns shift, when your touch lingers with sorrow. Some cats respond by kneading their paws on your chest, purring near your face, bringing you small offerings, a toy, a sock, a leaf from the WINDOWSILL. It's their way of saying, I see you. You are not alone. And maybe, just maybe, they feel your sadness through vibration. Your breath changes when you're upset. Your heart rate shifts. Your body hums differently. To a creature who lives by subtle movement, this is a song they can hear. Let's visit the elephant. In the wild, elephants are known to mourn their dead. They return to the bones of their fallen. They touch them gently with trunks. They rumble softly, a sound too low for human ears, but felt through the ground. They also mourn for others in sanctuaries. Elephants have been seen approaching grieving. Humans extending their trunks gently, pausing near those who weep. Is it curiosity or something more? Their brains contain large limbic systems, the part involved in emotion. They recognize distress, and they respond with stillness, with closeness, with care, like they're listening with their whole body. And maybe they are now glide beneath the waves. Dolphins have been observed circling injured or sick individuals, supporting them as they surface to breathe. They've even helped humans pushing stranded swimmers toward shore, circling boats in distress. There are stories, some science confirms, others remain mysteries of dolphins detecting tumors, sensing pregnancy, even comforting divers. In panic, they respond not out of training, but out of perception. Their sonar, echolocation, does more than map space. It may detect changes in body density, inflamed tissue, shallow breath. They don't need words. They feel something is wrong, and they stay. This staying, this act of presence, is its own kind of healing. You feel it with horses. In equine therapy, people with trauma often find peace, not through conversation, but through standing beside a horse. Horses, with their sensitive nervous systems, pick up on heart rate changes, muscle tension, breath, rhythm. They mirror calm when you are calm, and when you're not, they ground you. Their hooves on the earth, their breathing slow and wide. They ask nothing, but they notice everything. This is not imagination. It's resonance, to beings tuned like strings, that vibrate together. Even smaller creatures can respond to your pain. A rabbit might nuzzle your hand when you're still. A bird may chirp softer, rest longer on your shoulder, as if lending its quietness. Their bodies hear things your ears do not. Your stillness, your change. They don't judge. They don't explain. They simply know. And sometimes that knowing is more comforting than advice. But what about the why? Why would animals care? In evolution, Empathy can be survival. A herd that senses one member's distress avoids danger sooner. A pack that comforts the injured stays stronger, longer. But this doesn't explain everything. There are stories of wild animals comforting strangers, of pets refusing to leave hospital beds, of birds perching silently on windowsills during funerals. Not all of it is science. Some of it is mystery. But maybe that's the point. Empathy doesn't have to be explained to be real. And in that silence, the gaze of a dog, the stillness of a horse, the warmth of a curled cat, you feel something shift. You feel heard, because animals, even without words, seem to carry this wisdom, that pain is not always a thing to fix. Sometimes it is a thing to witness, to sit beside, to breathe with. And so tonight, as your body sinks deeper into rest, you imagine what it would be like if humans listened this way. If we felt each other like wolves do, through scent, through energy, through stillness. If we responded like dolphins, not by asking, but by showing up. And in that soft imagining, you begin to wonder, if animals hear our pain so clearly, can they also sense our joy? Do they share our peace as deeply as our sorrow? And what might that mean for how we love them back? Some emotions sit heavy, like clouds. Others lift you, like wind. Tonight, you float with the lighter kind, the kind that lives in wagging tails, flapping wings, and eyes that squint from smiling too much. You begin in the company of a dog. As evening light pours in, you laugh, and the dog bounds forward. Not for food, not for command, but for joy. You feel it. So does he. This is not coincidence. This is emotional synchrony, because just as animals sense your sorrow, they also sense your joy, and they rise with it. Let's stay here a moment longer. Joy is not just a feeling, it is a chemical event. Laughter releases endorphins, your body's own natural opioids. They soothe, they energize, they bond as they rush through you. They also change how you move, how you smell, how you breathe. Animals. Notice your skin warms, your breath deepens, your voice softens into play. Your body tells a story of peace, and their bodies respond. Dogs, in particular, are play specialists. They evolved alongside humans, not just to guard, but to delight. When you're playful, they mirror you. Their tails wag faster. They do the play bow, front legs down, rear in the air. An ancient gesture of shared silliness. Scientists have even found a dog's laugh in their own way. A short, rhythmic panting sound that emerges in moments of joy. It's not mimicry, it's emotion. Shared now drift to a cat on a WINDOW SILL. She purrs, not just when petted, but when safe. When content, purring is a low-frequency vibration that not only calms her, but may calm you. It lowers blood pressure, slows breathing, soothes anxiety. You both sit in that sunbeam, and peace radiates between you. Quiet, alive. Not all joy is loud. Some is this soft. Now you walk through a farm. A goat hops beside you. A chicken follows your rhythm. Even large animals, cows, horses, move differently around happy humans. Your body's chemistry changes your scent, your gait, your tone. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, rises when you touch them with affection. They feel it and release it too. This hormone creates mutual trust. It's why cows lean into calm farmers, why horses lower their heads beside children, why sheep follow a familiar hand. Joy, here, is a loop. You feel good, so they feel safe. They feel safe, so you feel loved. And the cycle grows. Now lift gently into the sky. Glide with a bird. Birds sing more in spring, not only to mate or mark territory, but because the longer days bring hormonal changes. Melatonin fades. Dopamine rises. They sing with lightness, and their song triggers a matching rise in your body. You don't need to understand the notes. You just feel better when you hear them. Some birds, like parrots, crows, magpies, play for no reason, tossing sticks, rolling in snow, mimicking laughter. You giggle, they cock their heads. They play again, you both rise. Now go to the sea. Dolphins leap together, chasing bubbles they make for fun. Scientists call it play behavior, but to them it's something more. They recognize individual humans. They squeal in greeting. They bring gifts, seaweed, shells, fish, not for reward, but for bonding. When you're calm, they circle, slower. When you're excited, they twirl higher. They feel your mood and mirror it back, like the water they live in. Now enter a garden. A rabbit hops near your knee. It doesn't run. It's not afraid. You've slowed your movements. You're present. And the rabbit reads this. Small mammals are hypersensitive to danger. But when they sense your peace, they share it. Sometimes, being still is enough to invite joy. A butterfly lands on your sleeve. A bee dances between blooms, and the world breathes in rhythm with you. Even insects respond to vibrations, subtle cues of movement and energy. When you are calm, so is the space around you. Let's return to humans, to the people who share joy through animals. Therapy dogs in hospitals, horses in trauma recovery, cats in elderly homes, parrots with children. On the autism spectrum, these are not just pets. They are partners in healing. Studies show that people smile more, speak more, even recover faster when touched by paws or feathers or hooves. Because joy, when shared with an animal, feels safe. It's not judged, not measured, it's pure. And this purity feeds something inside you that words cannot reach. Now think of childhood joy, the first time you held a kitten, the dog that greeted you after school, the bird that landed near your hand. You didn't need to understand neuroscience. You just knew this creature made your heart lighter. That feeling still lives inside you. It doesn't age. It doesn't fade. Even now, you smile in your sleep at the memory and joy. Real joy is like that. It doesn't demand attention. It simply arrives in tail wags, in flutters, in quiet presence. And when it does, it lifts the space around it. Animals feel this. You laugh, they move closer. You dance, they watch and follow. You rest, they rest beside you. Your joy becomes theirs. Theirs becomes yours, a shared frequency. And so, as you float toward sleep, you begin to wonder if animals feel our sorrow and mirror our joy. Do they also carry a happiness all their own? A private world of delight, waiting to be noticed. And if you listen closely, could you join them there? You've seen it before. A cat stretched in a sunbeam, eyes half closed, body loose with trust. A horse rolling on its back in dust, then rising to shake off the earth, light and playful. A dolphin leaping high, no fish in sight. No command, just sky and water and movement. And you wonder, is this happiness? Not the kind shaped by language or logic, but something older, deeper, a contentment animals carry without needing anyone to understand. Tonight, you follow that feeling. You begin in the forest. A fox, alone in the snow, pounces into a drift, just to sink and rise again. There is no prey here, no hunger, just joy in the motion. Joy in the cold fluff beneath her paws. Joy in her own body. Scientists have observed this behavior, called play by some, dismissed as random by others. But if you watch closely, you see a pattern. When the world is safe, when food is found, when no one is watching animals play, not to learn, not to survive, but because it feels good. There, in the quiet woods, happiness lives without witness, now drifts skyward to the flutter of birds at dusk. The sun has set, no mates to attract, no predators to warn. Still they sing, notes that rise into night, soft and secret, like a lullaby to themselves. Birdsong often changes when no one listens. It becomes slower, simpler, sweeter, a melody not for territory or courtship, but for pleasure, for presence, and in that song you hear it. Contentment without purpose, a happiness that asks nothing. Now wade into a river, swim beside an otter. He slides down a muddy bank again and again, not to escape, not to feed, just for fun. Otters chase. Bubbles tumble underwater, float belly up with paws folded, as if in meditation. Their joy is quiet, rhythmic, not performative, and it reminds you, happiness doesn't have to be loud, or shared, or seen. Sometimes it's just movement, just comfort, just being. Now follow a whale, deep beneath the surface, she sings. Not always to find a mate, sometimes just to echo her voice in vastness, to feel her own sound stretch through water like a ribbon of identity. These songs shift over time. They become more complex, more personal. Some whales even improvise. It's as if they compose for themselves, an underwater diary, a self-made song, and perhaps a kind of joy, now shrank small. Look to a hamster in its burrow. It gathers seeds, tunnels softly, and then spins in circles, leaps in place, squeaks. To no one, there is no survival reason for this, no observer, no goal, and yet it plays. Even mice, those quiet, cautious creatures, have been found to laugh, not audibly to you, but in ultrasonic chirps released when tickled or when playing. Laughter, hidden in sound, too high for your ears, but real, measurable, repeatable. Proof that joy lives even in tiny bodies. Now walk through a sunlit pasture. A cow rests in grass, not chewing, not sleeping, just being. Research shows that cows experience quiet udder time, moments when they are neither feeding nor alert, but in deep relaxation they close their eyes, their breathing slows, and brain activity suggests peaceful wakefulness, a kind of bovine mindfulness. Their happiness doesn't bounce. It lingers, slow, still, steady. Now move toward the wild. A zebra rolls in dust, not to escape parasites, but to cool its skin, to feel the warmth and weight of earth. A lion cub chases its tail, tumbles over a sibling, then sprawls out in the shade, panting in delight. These are not acts of need. They are acts of being, of play, of pleasure, of joy that doesn't explain itself. Back in your home, think of the pet you may know, the cat who chases nothing at midnight, the dog who barks into wind, the bird who dances to music. They're not doing it for you. They're not performing. They're expressing a private joy, a feeling so deep, so natural, that it doesn't ask for approval. Animals don't need language to feel. They don't need reasons to enjoy. Happiness for them is woven into instinct, into rhythm, into safety. When the world is quiet enough, they rise into it. Just like you, your own joy lives in movement. In music, in rest. You dance not only at weddings, but sometimes alone in the kitchen. You hum when no one listens. You smile into the air just because it feels good. You, too, have a secret happiness, and maybe animals are not so different. Maybe. Their lives are filled with small delights you rarely notice. The way a bird flutters in rain. The way a turtle soaks in sun. The way a horse lifts its face to wind and closes its eyes. Maybe happiness is not what we've always thought. Not loud, not earned, not delayed. Maybe it's quiet, everywhere, happening now, and as your breath softens, as your body melts into the bed beneath you, you wonder if animals can feel joy so simply, so fully, so silently. Then maybe the real secret is this: happiness doesn't always need to be pursued. Sometimes it only needs to be noticed. There's a stillness before storms. You feel it in your skin. But sometimes animals feel it first, before thunder cracks. Before sirens wail, they move. Birds vanish from trees. Dogs tremble. Elephants retreat to higher ground. This is not coincidence. It is sensitivity. And tonight, you explore that hidden world where animals sense what hasn't happened yet, where instinct meets the unknown. Let's begin in the ocean. December 2004, moments before the tsunami struck coastal Asia, people reported seeing animals fleeing inland. Elephants broke their chains and ran to the hills. Dogs refused to go outside. Flamingos left nesting grounds that had been safe for years. No alarms had sounded, no shaking had started, but something in them knew how. One idea is vibration. Animals may feel subtle seismic waves, the tiniest tremors that ripple through the ground. Before humans notice, an elephant's footpad is incredibly sensitive. It can detect low-frequency vibrations from kilometers away. Even moles, deep in soil, feel shifting pressure through whiskers and fur. This is not supernatural. It's sensory intelligence, and yet it feels like a sixth sense, a way of reading the whispers beneath the earth now shift to the air. Before a storm, you might feel your ears pop. Your hair may lift slightly. This is barometric pressure changing. The weight of the sky pressing differently. Birds feel it, too, as do bees, who return to the hive early. And frogs, who begin to call hours before rain touches land. These shifts are microscopic, but to animals, they're loud. They read the language of wind, the posture of clouds, the electrical tension before lightning strikes. Sharks, too, respond to electromagnetic changes in water, retreating to deeper levels before hurricanes. Their skin contains special receptors, ampulla of Lorenzini, that detect electrical fields with astonishing precision. You do not have these, but they do. They live in a world not just of color and sound, but of charge and flow, pulse and pull, a realm invisible to you. Now enter your home. Your dog stands at the door minutes before someone arrives. Not every time, but often. You haven't spoken. The car is still down the street, yet your dog waits. Some researchers believe dogs can detect familiar engine sounds, footstep vibrations, even emotional scent signatures. Your body chemistry changes when you anticipate seeing someone you love. Your sweat alters, your breath shifts, and your dog reads that. They feel your excitement before the knock. It's not mind reading, it's a deeper body listening. Now recall this, a pet staring into a corner, eyes fixed. Still, you see nothing, but their ears twitch. They growl or whimper or walk away. Sometimes this means a mouse behind the wall. Sometimes you're not sure, but you feel it too. That strange, skin-prickling sense of being watched, of not being alone. Science doesn't always explain these moments, but animals react to frequencies and smells you don't register. Ultrasound, infrasound, pheromones. A room you think is empty may be full of information. If you have the right senses, now enter the wild. Migrating birds travel thousands of miles, without maps, without stars. Sometimes, even in clouded skies, they stay on course. Part of this is inside their bodies are molecules, like cryptochromes, that respond to Earth's magnetic field. Their very cells can read direction to a robin. The Earth has a glow, a tilt, a pull. They follow that pull with no doubt. It's not seen, but it's trusted. Perhaps the most powerful form of sensing. Let's turn inward now. Animals don't just sense the earth, they sense us. A cat that wakes you before a seizure. A dog that rests its head on your chest before you know your heart is failing. A parrot that squawks just before a fainting spell. They detect illness before machines do. One reason may be volatile. Organic compounds, tiny molecules, your body emits when things go wrong. Dogs have smelled cancers. Rats have sniffed tuberculosis. Even bees have been trained to sense infection. They smell what you cannot. They warn before you feel the symptoms. But sometimes, it's not just physical. Animals seem to sense emotion in ways we don't understand. A horse walks away from someone in deep grief, not rudely, but respectfully. A dog sits beside a child with autism, not barking, not playing, just breathing beside him. And sometimes, wild animals act strangely. A whale lifting a diver back to the surface. A gorilla shielding a boy who fell into its enclosure. A deer approaching a silent mourner in the woods. These stories may be anecdotal, but they echo something true, that animals may read the state of being, not just the data of biology, as if they understand your mood as clearly as your movements. Now return to stillness. Not every sense has a name. Not every perception is measurable, but animals remind you that the world is not limited to what you can explain. They trust signals you do not understand. They follow instincts you've learned to ignore. And maybe that's the point. What feels like a sixth sense may just be the full use of the first 5, sharpened, stretched, refined through evolution. But perhaps it's also something more. A kind of body wisdom that your modern mind has forgotten that you breathe now. Soft and slow, you wonder if animals can hear the planet's tremors, feel storms before they arrive, sense illness before pain begins. Then what else might they be tuned to? Could they hear the quietest parts of us, the thoughts we do not say? And if so, are they listening even now? There's a kind of listening that doesn't begin in the ears. It begins in the soles of your feet, in the stillness between 2 heartbeats, in the warmth across your skin. You are always sensing, even when you don't notice. Tonight, you begin to notice, not with noise, but with attention, not with volume, but with presence. You start with the catfish, swimming through murky rivers where sight means little, and hearing, as you know it, has no place. The catfish listens with its skin. Its entire body is a sensor detecting chemicals, vibrations, shifts in temperature. It tastes the water it swims through. It feels every ripple, every disturbance. Through specialized cells spread across its body, it is one swimming ear, one drifting tongue, one listening body. Now step onto land and feel the tremble through the soil. An elephant walks slowly, deliberately feeling the world not only through sight and sound, but through the pads of its feet. These massive, gentle creatures detect vibrations that travel through the ground, footsteps from miles away, thunder from distant storms, even the calls of other elephants too low for your ears to hear. This is seismic listening, and elephants are masters of it. Their legs are like antennae, their bones transmit sound, their brains translate the tremor into meaning. When they lift a foot and pause, they are listening, still, grounded, receptive. Now fly with a bat, a creature who hears shapes in the dark. Bats use echolocation. They emit high-frequency sounds, then read the echoes that return. From these echoes, they build a 3D map of the world with their ears, their jawbones, their minds. But more than that, they feel the world bouncing back at them, a moth, a wall, a fluttering leaf. Each surface tells a different story. Each echo has its own texture. It is not just hearing, it is perceiving. Now step into the world of the horse, whose skin twitches at the touch of a single fly, whose ears swivel independently, tracking sounds like radars on alert. But more than their ears, it is their body that listens. They sense the tension in your hands, the rhythm of your breath, the tightness in your legs. A nervous rider creates a nervous horse. A calm rider, a calmer one. This is somatic listening, a body reading another body without words, without sound. Now pause, feel your own body. What do your shoulders say? What does the space beneath your ribs whisper? What does your breath want? You are an animal too. And you too can listen this way. You have mechanoreceptors in your skin, tiny sensors that detect stretch, pressure, vibration. You have baroreceptors in your blood vessels, sensing internal flow, rise, resistance. Your ears hear sound, but your body hears life. You just forgot how to listen. Return to the ocean, the octopus, brilliant and silent, watches not with eyes alone, but with arms that taste, with skin that shifts color with mood, with body that blends into its surroundings, feeling texture, motion. Pulse. An octopus may be the best listener in the sea, but it doesn't use ears. It uses awareness, and that awareness is deeply physical. Now follow the dog. You know the wag of the tail, but have you noticed the stillness of the paws, the tremble of the nose, the way their body leans into you, not to speak, but to receive? Dogs are listening to your sigh, to your footsteps changing rhythm, to the weight of your sadness on the couch. They do not need to hear you cry. They already feel that something is off. Their body hears yours and responds, now go smaller. The spider feels the world through her web. Each thread vibrates with meaning. Is it prey? Is it wind? Is it a mate approaching? She does not see it. She does not hear it. But she knows. The web is her extended body, her organ of perception. And this idea of listening through extension applies to you, to dot your clothes, your shoes, the air on your arms, the mattress beneath you now. These are not just external things. They are part of how you feel the world, part of how you know you're here. Now breathe, slowly, fully. Listening can be a breath. Each inhale a receiving, each exhale a soft answer. In meditation, some call this felt sense, the gentle noticing of sensation, without judgment. The way you become aware of your hands, even when they're still, or the way a sudden chill brings goosebumps. Before you even realize you're cold, animals live in this awareness. They are never divided from their bodies, never distracted by thoughts of tomorrow. They feel now. And you can, place your hand on your chest. Feel the rise, feel the fall. That rhythm is not just heartbeat, it is presence. It is your body listening to itself. Now drift through a forest, the birds quiet, the breeze stills, and a deer steps gently from the shadows. Its ears turn like satellites, its legs pause mid-step. Its eyes don't just look, they receive. The deer's entire body is a listening post. It feels the snap of a twig, the shift in scent, the breath of a predator not yet visible. This is what keeps it alive, not speed, but attention, a full body sensing of the world as it is, and that same ability to become quiet enough to hear, without sound, lives in you. It lives in stillness, in breath, in awareness. So, as you lie here now, blankets wrapped like gentle fur, the night softening your thoughts, you begin to wonder if animals can listen with their whole bodies. Could you do the same? Could you hear more? Not by trying harder, but by becoming softer. And if you did, what else might you hear? A world of fences, screens, and clocks. The wild still whispers, it calls from beyond the edges of your maps, not to frighten, but to remind you of something you once knew. Tonight, you follow that call, not to chase animals, but to listen to them in their rawest, freest form. In their wildness, begin beneath a wide starlit sky. The wind moves through trees untouched by blade. Somewhere far from roads, a wolf howls. You are not afraid. You are still, and in that stillness, the sound touches something old in you. This is not the howl of a villain. It is the call of connection. A voice in the night that says, I am here. I belong. I am alive. Wolves do not howl for violence. They howl to gather, to mark presence, to keep kin close in the dark. Their wildness is not chaos. It is coherence without control, a family without fences. Now move through a dense rainforest. A jaguar slips through the undergrowth, seen by few, understood by fewer. Her muscles flow like shadow. Her eyes do not seek you. She knows her path. She does not follow rules written by humans. She follows instinct, scent, pulse. She is not tameable, not by cruelty, not by kindness. And that too is beauty. Wildness means she does not perform. She simply is. Fully, fiercely, quietly now. Rise into the air. Soar with an eagle. Riding thermals that you cannot see, but that it feels with every feather. Its wings stretch wide, not flapping, but gliding. The wind becomes its instrument, its map, its lifeline. No wires, no GPS, just air and bone and knowing. It doesn't need a destination. The sky is enough. And maybe that is wildness too. Not always going somewhere, but being deeply where you are. Now enter the cold. A polar bear moves across ice, her nose lifted to the breeze. She smells seals from miles away. Each step is deliberate, each breath, conservation. She is slow, not lazy, precise. There is no wasted motion in the wild. No hurry for hurry's sake. You learn from her to be still, to act only when needed, to move in tune with the environment, not in defiance of it. She is wild, yes, but she is also wise. Now dive into coral reefs. A reef shark glides past, not in pursuit, just patrolling the territory it's known since birth. Its senses stretch. Beyond yours, it sees electric fields. It tastes water movement. It hears in a language of ripple and flow. It is perfectly adapted, not just to survive, but to belong. Belonging, that is what wildness brings. Not rebellion, but deep, sacred, fitting, dash in. Now, go smaller. A firefly blinks under a humid sky. No wires, no commands. Just chemical rhythms that light its belly with gold. It does not ask permission. It glows because it must. And you too, once glowed like this, in instinct, in play, in hunger and curiosity, before words, before roles. Wildness is not violence. It is truth without training. It is what you are before you are shaped. And though you live in cities, in schedules, in systems, that truth remains in the child who screams with joy in rain, in the deep breath you take when walking barefoot, in the way your body relaxes near trees, without needing to understand why. Now watch the orangutan. High in the rainforest canopy, she builds her own bed of branches each night, shapes leaves to catch rain, uses tools, shows empathy, and still swings freely through her chosen sky. She is intelligent, but not civilized. She is emotional, but not owned. And that, too, is wildness. To think and feel, but not be caged. By it now, return to the lion. Not in a zoo, not in a storybook, but beneath the African sun. He walks slowly. He sleeps deeply. He roars, not to threaten, but to say, "This is my home." He is not tame, but neither is he cruel. His wildness is simply the absence of control. A body following its design, a mind living in the present, a soul uncut by cages. Now, pause, ask yourself, where is your own wildness? It may not look like a roar, or claws, or wings, but it lives in you, in your instincts, in your longing for green, in your body's quiet craving for stillness, for stars, for silence, and the animals you've met, from forest to farm, from river to reef, remind you of this. You are not separate from the wild. You are a branch of it, a voice in its choir, a heartbeat in its vast, breathing chest. Even as you sleep in beds and walk on sidewalks, your cells remember forests, your nerves remember streams, and sometimes, when the night is quiet enough and the distractions fade, you feel it, that flicker of something untrained, unfenced, unshaped, something like freedom, something like home, something like you. Some memories don't begin with words, they begin with breath, with a turn in the wind, with the smell of something familiar, though unspoken. You lie here tonight, not remembering facts, but feelings. Soft look, a shared silence, a place your body recalls, even if your mind forgets. This is how animals remember, not in diaries, not in stories, but in movement, in rhythm, in space. Let's begin with a bird. The Arctic tern travels across the planet, from pole to pole. Year after year, it returns to the same shoreline, the same rock, as if the earth itself leaves a trail only it can. Feel no map, no written path, just memory built into the body. This is not magic. This is navigational memory, rooted in magnetic fields, in celestial cues, in smells and patterns of wind, but most of all in repetition. Animals learn by doing, and once done, it becomes a part of them. A salmon knows the stream where it was born. Years later, it swims thousands of miles back to that place. It smells the rocks. It feels the water's chemistry. It follows memory without words and arrives. Now, think of elephants. They mourn their dead. They touch the bones of ancestors with their trunks. They return to the places where herds once passed, where babies once played, where elders once fell. They pause, they remember, but they do not speak. The memory lives in their gait, in the way they slow down near certain trees, in how they gather, quieter, closer, in places where something sacred once happened. No language, just reverence. Now visit the sea. A humpback whale sings a song that echoes for miles. Each year, that song changes slightly, passed from whale to whale, a living memory in melody. It is not sung to recall. It is sung to belong through song. Whales carry the past into the present, and though they don't remember as humans do, they know what came before, and they pass it on, voice to voice. Now enter a quiet forest. A squirrel hides nuts, hundreds, sometimes thousands, and though many are never found, enough are remembered through scent, through soil feel, through patterns only the body seems to recall. This is spatial memory. It's not tied to a clock, it's tied to place, and your body holds this kind of memory too. You've walked into a room and felt strange comfort. You've returned to a street and remembered laughter you forgot, not because someone reminded you, but because your body did. You were made for this kind of knowing. You just stopped listening. Now look at your dog. She sees your suitcase, and she knows. She remembers last time this meant goodbye. Last time. The smell of airport lingered for days. She does not recall the date. She does not know Thursday or October. But she remembers the weight in your eyes, the hesitation in your voice, the change in your morning routine. That's memory, without narrative, and it is no less powerful. Now think of trauma for animals and for you. A loud sound, a smell, a place, these can trigger fear, even if the mind doesn't know why, because memory lives not just in thoughts, but in nervous systems. A dog once beaten may flinch at a raised hand, even from a gentle person, not because he remembers abuse in words, but because his body does. And you're the same. A song can bring tears. A smell can bring comfort. A texture can carry you back to childhood in seconds. These memories are wordless and deeply true. Now fly with a monarch butterfly, born into a world it's never seen. It migrates thousands of miles toward Mexico, to trees it has never visited, yet its ancestors did. How? This memory is genetic, a cellular whisper from generations past, a map carried not in mind, but in biology. Perhaps you, too, carry such memory. Calm. You feel near firelight, the awe near the ocean, the safety in watching stars. These may not be your memories. They may belong to those who came before you, yet they live in your breath, in your pulse, in your quiet longings. You are not only what you remember, you are what you've inherited, and some of that inheritance has no name. Now return to the animals. A horse returns to an open field where it once felt free. It gallops not because it remembers, but because it recognizes the wind, the space, the echo of hoof against earth. Freedom doesn't need a story, it only needs a moment, and memory doesn't always mean looking back. Sometimes it means feeling the present with the depth of all that came before. Now look within. You sit quietly. A sound rises, and suddenly you remember someone you loved, not their face, but their warmth. That's enough. That's memory. That's how animals carry their world, not on paper, but in the pace of their walk, the curve of their breath, the soft pause before they leap. You remember the sixth sense now, not as a superpower, but as a presence, a knowing without needing proof, a connection without needing explanation. Memory, too, can be like that, not sharp, not loud, but whole. And so tonight, you rest not with facts in your head, but with a feeling. In your chest, a quiet chorus of all the lives you've met, all the instincts you've remembered, all the wildness that shaped you, even without words. So close your eyes now, let your thoughts soften, let the stories settle like dust on leaves, and let the final memory be this: you are not separate from the living world, you are stitched into it, by breath, by sensation, by quiet knowing, and by memory that speaks without ever needing to speak. World does not forget sound, not truly. It holds it in its quietest corners. A cave remembers each drop that ever fell. A forest holds the shape of every bird call, even after the bird is gone. You too hold echoes, not loud, not clear, but present. They hum beneath your skin, in your breath, in the stillness you feel but can't explain. Tonight, we listen, not outward, but inward, for the echo inside you. Not the thoughts in your mind, but the rhythms in your body. The ancient signals, the whispered memory of instincts that never left begin with the bat. You've met it before. You remember how it sends a sound, a tiny quick cry, and listens for its echo to return. This is how it sees in darkness, not with light, but with feedback, with return. And now you wonder, what sounds have you sent out that never returned? What parts of yourself are still waiting for an answer? You remember calling out as a child, not always with words, but with action, with silence, with the quiet ache of needing to be known. And somewhere, some of those echoes still bounce inside your ribs. Not all echoes are sound. Some are memories. Some are reflexes. Now look at the gecko, the one who loses its tail to survive. Later, it grows back. But even the new tail remembers something. The echo of escape. The trace of fear that shaped it. Animals do not dwell on trauma, but it still lives in their bodies. In how quickly they run. In how wide their eyes become at the smallest motion. You are the same. Even when you forget the story, your body remembers the shape. That too is echo. Now imagine a wolf pup howling alone for the first time. The sound cracks from its throat. High, uncertain, a question flung into the cold. But somewhere a deeper voice returns. The pack replies, a parent, a sibling, a signal, you are not alone. And the pup learns, my voice can bring me home. Maybe your voice, too, is still learning to trust its own echo. Now shift to the whale again. It sings across oceans, its voice traveling for hours, sometimes never hearing. The return, still, it sings. The echo does not always come. But the need to speak, to send something out, remains. This is a deeper kind of faith. To express yourself, even when no reply arrives. To keep creating sound, just to feel alive. Now drift into the soil. The mole rat lives in near darkness. Its world is made of touch, smell, subtle vibration, but it still vocalizes, high squeaks, low clicks. These are its seismic echoes, sent not into the air, but into the ground. Its community answers back through tunnels, a language made of pressure, and you realize echoes can travel in more than sound. A look, a gesture, a heartbeat, shared across a room. All of these are messages that come back differently, but still reach you. Now, imagine the elephant again. Its deep rumble so low, it shakes through the earth. It sends a message miles away. And when that message returns, the elephant doesn't just hear it, it feels it in its feet, in its bones. What do your bones feel when the room falls quiet? What messages does your body catch that your mind misses? These are your felt echoes, sensation before explanation, a shiver before danger, a calm before sleep, a pull toward someone who's safe, even before they speak. Now watch the octopus in its reef. It does not speak, it does not hear, but it sees, and more importantly, it responds. Its skin changes color, pattern, even texture in response to emotion. Presence, change. It is a living echo, reacting to the world, reflecting it back. Your skin does this too. You blush, you get goosebumps. You freeze or soften without words. These are echoes in action. The world touches you, and your body answers before thought arrives. You don't have to think to feel, you just do, and sometimes that's the truest kind of knowing. Now go smaller. The cricket's song echoes in the night, not to entertain, but to announce presence, to draw a mate, to claim a place. Its rhythm is shaped by temperature, by time, by need, and if another cricket replies, they enter a kind of duet, not because they planned it, but because echo invites harmony. Think of the people you felt close to, not always because of what they said, but because they resonated. They reflected something in you you couldn't name, and in their presence, you felt less alone. That too is echo. Now listen inside. What parts of you still wait to be reflected? What feelings remain unanswered? What instincts have you silenced because no one replied? You are not just a sender of signals. You are also a receiver. The rustle of trees still calms you, even when you're indoors. The sound of water still soothes, even when it's only in your memory. These are internal echoes, traces of comfort, stamped into your nervous system. Not every echo is dramatic. Some are gentle. A cat's purr felt in your lap, the weight of an old book, the sigh of a breeze that reminds you of something you can't quite place. You don't have to place it. It's enough to feel the echo, to know it was real, to let it live, even without words. Now breathe, softly, slowly, each inhale. An invitation, each exhale. A gentle answer. You are echoing your environment, and it is echoing you. Even in silence, you are in conversation with wind, with memory, with the lives you've touched and the lives that have touched you. This is what animals teach. You don't have to speak to be heard. You don't have to remember names to remember love. You are an echo chamber of everything you felt. And somehow, nothing is lost, just transformed, like sound bouncing through a canyon, becoming deeper, slower, softer as it fades, until it blends with stillness. And still, it matters. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, let yourself become the canyon. Let the echoes arrive. Let them pass through you. You don't have to understand them, only feel them. You are not empty. You are resonant, and in that resonance, you are never alone. Silence is not empty. It is filled with signals. Tonight, as you lie still, you drift toward the edge of language, where communication no longer needs sound. This is the home of the quiet ones, the animals who don't roar or sing or cry aloud, but who speak in glances, postures, presence. You learn now to listen, not with your ears, but with your attention. Begin with the deer. It stands at the forest edge, ears tilted, body still. Every muscle alert. It does not speak, but its silence is precise. Each stillness means something. Each flick of the tail, each widening of the eyes, each pause in breath. The deer is in conversation, not with words, but with the forest. It listens to the crackle of a twig, the shift in wind, the angle of shadow, and when it moves like a reply. What would it mean for your stillness to be a reply? Now watch the chameleon. It does not run, it does not shout, it changes. Its skin responds to mood, to temperature, to emotion. Its message is in color, bright for fear, muted for calm, dark when blending in. The chameleon speaks to the world by becoming part of it. You wonder, what colors would you wear if your emotions showed through your skin? What truth would shine if you couldn't hide behind words? Now look to the owl. It flies without a sound, feathers specially shaped to muffle motion, wings that slice through air like thought through stillness. It hunts in silence, but more importantly, it listens in silence. It hears mice moving under snow. It hears breath beneath leaves, and in its silence, it becomes a master of attention. You realize stillness is not passive. It is powerful. It is the art of not interrupting what the world is trying to say. Now think of the cat. It watches you, not always moving, but always reading. It senses your tension. It notices your pacing. It feels your rhythm. And sometimes, without sound, it curls beside you, not to fix anything, just to say, I see you. That is a language to the quiet kind. The kind that says everything without demanding anything in return. Now turn to the sloth. It moves through trees as if time does not touch it. Each motion is deliberate. Each blink a meditation. It wastes nothing, because nothing must be rushed. Its quiet is not shyness. It is peace. It is presence without urgency. And you begin to wonder, what would your days feel like if you moved at the speed of enough? Now enter the water. The jellyfish pulses softly. It has no brain, no words, no thought as you know it, but it knows where the current goes. It rides it, glows with it, feeds and lives by it. Its body is a floating conversation with the ocean. Nothing forced. Only flow. What if you, too, could listen to the currents instead of always swimming against them? Now meet the tortoise. It carries home on its back. It walks with quiet dignity. It outlives most noise-makers. It is not in a hurry to speak, to prove. To perform its message is endurance. Its lesson is patience. It reminds you not all truths need speed. Now visit the praying mantis. It sits still for hours, arms folded like a monk. It does not chase. It waits, and when it moves, it does so with sharp, exact grace. Its power lies in its restraint. And you wonder what wisdom lives in what you choose not to say. Not out of fear, but of clarity. Now walk near a hermit crab. It finds old shells, tucks inside, adjusts, moves on when needed. It does not build a fortress. It reuses what the sea provides. Its silence is adaptability. Its message, you don't have to be loud to be resourceful. You, too, can change homes, change selves. Without ever raising your voice, now sit beside the cow in the field. She chews slowly, stares gently, rests in shade. She speaks in subtle shifts. Tail swishes, nose nuzzles, weight leans. Her calmness is not dullness. It is deep contentment. She is not seeking more. She is being fully where she is. That, too, is a message. Stillness can be fullness. Finally, return to the tiger. Yes, it roars. But more often, it waits. In jungle heat, it rests in tall grass, eyes half closed, body steady. It does not waste motion. Its power is in silence. Its roar only comes when it must, and when it does, the world listens. You, too, have a roar, but it need not be constant. Silence can hold power until the time is right. And when you do speak, let it matter. Let it rise from rest, not restlessness. Now return to yourself. You are not empty in quiet. You are alive in quiet. Your breath is a conversation. Your stillness is a signal. You speak through how you wait, how you watch, how you stay. The quiet ones have shown you that language does not begin in the mouth. It begins in attention. It begins in care. Tonight, you do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to answer or declare. You only need to listen to what you already are, too. What your body says when it's not being rushed, to what your instincts say when they are not drowned in noise. There are messages all around you, and inside you, in stillness, you hear them, not as thoughts, but as truths, and that is enough. Eyes closed, breath slow, animals sleep, but something continues. Pause, twitch, wings flutter, whiskers move to invisible sounds. Are they chasing? Remembering? Feeling? This chapter floats through the sleeping minds of animals, where memory, instinct, and mystery melt into one. When night falls, the forest doesn't stop. It hushes. The owl folds her wings. The fox curls, her tail around her nose. The field mouse closes its eyes beneath the soil, and somewhere, behind their stillness, a world unfolds. You too lie in the dark, blanketed, breathing, listening to the quiet just beneath your thoughts. But tonight, your journey continues inward, into the place where dreams are born. And you are not alone there. Animals dream, this much is known. But what do they see? A dog twitches in sleep, paws paddling as if chasing something on silent ground. You've seen it. You've wondered, is he running through a memory? Or through something deeper? In sleep, the brain rewinds, replays, imagines. In animals, too. REM sleep appears rapid eye movement, twitching limbs, even brain patterns like those of waking life. The rat, dreaming in her nest, rehearses the maze. She ran earlier. Neurons spark in the same sequences when she moved through real corridors. Her sleep is not passive, it is practice. In her dreams, she learns, she remembers, and so do you. In dreaming, the mind reorganizes, not like filing papers, but like weaving threads. Emotion, memory, sound, and instinct are drawn together into something soft, unspoken, true. The zebra finch, when awake, sings his song, but in sleep, he replays it, not aloud, within. The rhythm of syllables, the timing of tone, all rehearsed in silence, and in the morning, he sings a little better. His dream was a lesson. Now imagine the baby elephant, her long lashes resting, her trunk twitching. Her day was full of play, mud, water, trees. What does her night contain? Do her dreams echo her mother's shape? The coolness of riverbanks, the trumpet of distant kin. No one knows for sure, but the body remembers what the mind can't explain. And in sleep, it speaks the sea lion to dreams. Floating half awake in water, half of his brain rests, while the other half stays alert. This is called unihemispheric sleep, half-brain dreaming. Dolphins do it. So do some birds. It keeps them safe in a world where sleep can be dangerous, but even half asleep, they twitch, they react, they process. Because the world doesn't stop just because the eyes are closed, and neither does the self. You remember now the cat sleeping in a sunbeam. Her ears twitch, her nose flicks. You think she rests, but inside her, scenes bloom. Perhaps a memory of a bird, or the soft press of your hand, or the sound of your voice. In a quiet room, cats, like humans, cycle through sleep stages, deep, light, REM. And in those moments of REM, when her paws move and whiskers flick, she dreams. She is not gone, she is inward. Now float to the sky. The swift bird sleeps while flying. She tucks one side of her brain to rest, and the other steers her body through wind. Even in motion, she dreams. There is no pause to dreaming. It comes when needed. And now you think, if animals dream and remember and feel, what are dreams made of? Perhaps colon instincts, comma replayed, or emotions, sorted, or sensations, stitched together into silent stories. A beaver dreams of water flowing just as he built it. A horse dreams of the open field and runs in place. You too dream of movement, of faces, of things that never were, and yet feel so familiar. This is not illusion, this is integration, and it's not just memory, it's feeling, filtered through sleep. Just like the dog who whimpers softly, you, too, speak in dreams, even if you never make a sound. The language of dreams is not English, not spoken. It is made of scent, of rhythm, of temperature, of emotion. Animals understand so. Do you now think of the octopus? While sleeping, her skin pulses with color, like shifting waves of emotion, like a dream expressed through skin. What does she see? Is she hunting, escaping, exploring? She will never tell, but her body says enough. Some scientists believe she dreams, others call it reflex. But maybe the line between the two is not so sharp. Maybe dreams are reflexes of the soul. The sleeping octopus reminds you, what is hidden is not absent, it is simply deeper. Now come back to yourself, to your chest, rising and falling, to the heaviness in your limbs, to the float of your thoughts. You are not fully here, but you are not gone. You drift in a space like water, where memory mixes with imagination, where time blurs, where truth takes shapes that only feeling can recognize. You are dreaming already, even with eyes half open, and that is enough, because tonight, you dream not alone, but in the company of those who dream without words. The mouse, the lion, the whale, the moth, they dream too, and together. In sleep, you are part of something larger than understanding. You are part of the dreaming world, and that world is vast and slow and safe. So rest, not to forget, but to feel more clearly. Rest, where memory becomes music, where instinct becomes story, where silence becomes everything. You need the journey ends, where wonder deepens. Beyond sight, sound, scent, taste, and touch, there is another sense, ancient and often unnoticed tonight. You explore intuition, magnetism, and the quiet ways life connects. The sixth sense is not magic, it's the whisper behind the noise. You've followed the senses through whiskers, wings, blood, and breath. Now you've arrived at something harder to name, the sixth sense. Not fantasy, not fiction, but a web of silent, subtle threads that bind you to the world. Begin in the dark, where the bat flies, blind to sight, but not to presence. Its ears sculpt the air, but something deeper guides it. A moment of pause, a shift in pressure, a feeling of there. Now think of the eel that senses the electric signature of fish hiding in sand. It does not see, it knows. And sharks, their skin is tuned to the faintest electric pulse of a heartbeat nearby. This is electroreception, a sense of electricity, not imagined, measured. Many fish, rays, and amphibians have it. An ancient sense. And yet, you too feel more than you explain. You've known the moment before someone speaks. You've felt someone behind you before sound confirmed it. That flicker of certainty that didn't come from touch or sound, but knowing. This is not magic. It is biology. Whispering, some scientists call it interoception, the ability to sense the internal state of your own body. Heartbeat, blood sugar, hormone tides, temperature shifts. The signals are quiet, but your brain listens. Sometimes they surface as a feeling, a hunch, an intuition. You may call it gut instinct. But it's just your nervous system doing what it does best, gathering what's too fast, too subtle, too deep for words. This, too, is a sense. Now imagine the bird flying across continents. She navigates not by map, but by magnetic field. Her brain contains crystals, tiny magnets. She feels north. It is called magnetoreception. Migratory birds use it. So do turtles, so do bees. Some studies suggest even humans might have the remnants of this sense. Have you ever walked into a space and felt turned around without knowing why? Perhaps your body reads Earth in quiet ways you've forgotten how to name. The sixth sense is not one thing. It is many threads woven under the five. Balance, orientation, time, anticipation, connection, even. The sense of being seen, or of seeing. Without sight, feeling watched. These are not fantasy. They are layers of perception. Subtle. Not always reliable, but real. Your skin has receptors that detect emotional tone. Your heart changes pace when someone enters the room. You are not sealed off. You are porous. Your senses are windows, not walls. And some windows are made of wind. Now think of animals in groups, flocks turning in air, schools of fish moving as one. How do they not collide? Researchers believe they react to minuscule changes in pressure, motion, electromagnetic field, and each other. This too is sensing. Beyond the 5 dot, and sometimes you feel it too, the sudden stillness in a crowd, the quiet before a storm, the unspoken signal to move, to pause, to hold. You too are wired for this. The sixth sense is not a mystery to be solved. It is a reality to be noticed. Animals trust it. They live by it. You can, too, not by chasing signals, but by learning too. Be still enough to hear what you already know, not with your ears, but with your presence. There are other senses still unnamed. Some in insects, some in whales, some maybe in you. Each year, science listens a little more. Each study lifts the curtain. But the sixth sense was never hidden. It was just quiet. It's the compass in your gut, the rhythm behind your breath, the voice that speaks before language forms. It is not magic. It is ancient biology still humming beneath the noise. And now, as your journey ends, you do not close the book. You open yourself, because now you see The senses were never five, they were many, and you soft-bodied, starlit, listening. You are more animal than you remember, more aware than you were taught. So sleep now, not in silence, but in sensing the air around you. The rhythm within, the pull of the earth beneath it is all speaking. And now you are listening.